So we had last week an amazing episode of Below Divide, Cold Black, Deep Insanity for today. And now next I want to talk about Shikizakura. It had the most meaningful and the best episode last week. It finally gave some respectable qualities to Kakeru. This is a series that for a while I had said it had a very bland and boring main character, and this was his redemption episode. Not just his, but also Ibara. But a lot of things happened, a lot of reveals, a lot of characters actually became better with this episode. So it begins with Uka and Ryo pleading with her father that they must keep Kakeru around because he's very strong. He's useful to the party. But the father believes that because he has that Oni Ibara inside of him, they have to take care of him. What happened is that Ryo ends up finally breaking his bland, boring self and throws his pride out the window to kind of beg Uka's father to give Kakeru a chance. He decides that he will have Kakeru do a test and have him fight Colonel Inuzuka and his giant robot. Elsewhere, Kakeru is being interrogated by Uka's sister. They talk about the Shikizakura ritual from 8 years ago where Kakeru was the only survivor. According to what was said, Ibara has something to do with the disaster, but Ibara doesn't remember because he has memory loss. And Kakeru doesn't know either. That did not stop the sister from kicking him in the face. And even though I've hated this main character, I actually felt really bad when he got kicked in the face. And that's when I realized that, yeah, he's sort of a joke, but he's so persistent in his beliefs. I mean, but it's not even me. Even the cast don't take Kakeru seriously. His own friends thought that his talk about being a hero is a joke. The people that work in the organization besides his friends think that he does not believe in Ibara, that he's just putting up a front, that he's lying. Everybody just finds Kakeru to be a joke. And they put him in a test where he has to redeem himself to everybody and prove to everybody that yes, he does want to be a hero, as corny as that sounds, and that yes, he believes in Ibara, whereas nobody else does. Well, almost everybody else. But before that, the episode does begin with a very funny scene involving Kaede and Haruko. They try to get in, and no matter what they try to get in, Inuzuka just says doesn't matter, even though they put on this show with the drink. So it was funny how they animated Kaede and made her emotional about spilling the drink on his head. So some nice comedy there. Also, when Uka opens up her chest and tells Kakeru to look, even though it was just to show her the mark of the Shrine Maiden, and Kakeru took it the wrong way at first. She also apologizes to Kakeru and tells him that she's sorry for what happened at the ritual where everybody perished. And Kakeru just says, you did what you could. So even though Kakeru is revealed to have this tragic kind of background, he keeps on a strong facade. Or at least I think he's actually serious. It's not a facade. So this leads up to the fight. During the fight, Ibara is his usual violent self, making fun of Kakeru, but that's just the way Ibara is. As they fight Inuzuka, they're getting slaughtered. It would have been a little better for them to actually show Kakeru get dents on his little robot, because no matter how hard Inuzuka would pummel him, he wouldn't. You can't see the damage. It would have been nice to have some dents, some actual damage shown on Kakeru. So they start losing. They're about to get slashed by a sword, and that's when Kakeru and Ibara finally have their moment. And Ibara tells Kakeru that the problem isn't him, the problem is himself, that he has memory loss, he can't remember anything, he forgets everything that happens. And his motivation to fight is just because he finds it fun, but he finds that he never feels satisfied. So he has a lot of problems, a lot of personal issues, and he's just venting out his frustration at everybody. And Kakeru starts crying because, he wanted to save everybody and he failed, he's about to die. And Ibara sort of comes to terms with this and says, well, if you die, I'm just going to go to sleep for I'm just going to go to sleep for a long time and then resurrect again. It doesn't matter to Ibara. But Kakeru manages to motivate him to try to fight, try to find an actual purpose in fighting. So fortunately, it inspired Ibara to get up and to try again. And so they block the giant sword from Colonel Inuzuka, and they activate their right arm, and they have a new weapon, as you can see in the picture, and they take on Inuzuka and cause a lot of destruction everywhere. I really like the directing where Kakeru and Ibara decide to keep going with this fight and find motivation, and the screen kind of breaks into pieces as their character breaks through it. I thought that was a really nice touch. There's a giant explosion as they meet in the middle and collide, even though there's no damage to be seen, no visible damage to be seen anywhere in the arena. The fight gets eventually stopped, and Kakeru has managed to successfully redeem himself. Everybody sees that he is for real. He's not the joke that everybody thought he was. So it's a really nice episode. Kakeru's friend does show up. Kipe does show up for a bit, only because his lace is messed up. But I really enjoyed this episode of Shikizakura. It's what this series needed. And now Kakeru actually has a chance to be likable. So can Shikizakura keep up this greatness, or is it gonna fall apart like most anime usually does? I guess we'll see. That is all I have to add. And one last thing is the transformation sequences. If there's one thing that this series does right, are the transformation sequences where they put on the armor or the robot parts. It always looks really cool. It's very rewatchable. The scene in this episode was no different. It was another good scene. The music always pumps up the transformation sequences, and the music during the fight was good as well. So a great episode, but nobody cares except for me. So, and whoever decides to watch this low production video. Thank you for listening.